What's going on, and Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays for people who celebrate other traditions. I actually have a little bit of a funny story. So I would say about 9, 10 years ago, me and my buddy Raheem would go and hang out with my grandma, and she was, obviously older from a different generation. She had no filter. I mean, whatever she thought just came straight out of her mouth. Me and my buddy Raheem used to love going there and hanging out with her, probably 2 days, 3 days out of the week just to hang out and talk to her. I mean, she was funny. And like I said, she had no filter, so we would laugh all the time just hanging out with her. But, this was around Christmas, probably the day before. We were all hanging out at the kitchen table, drinking, whatever. And we're sitting there talking about our plans for the day after for Christmas. And she asked Raheem, she said, "So, Raheem, what are you and your family's plans for Kwanzaa?" And Raheem goes to her, "Mama, I ain't fucking Jewish." Yeah, it took about 30 minutes to explain to them both that, to my grandma, that not all black people celebrate Kwanzaa, but to Raheem that Kwanzaa wasn't the Jewish holiday. Oh man, good times. Fucking love you, Raheem. Rest in peace, Mama. I wish nothing but health, wealth, and prosperity to you, your family, and my nephew Keith. I love you, buddy. But thank you, Sam, for letting me stay at your house this weekend. We had a great New Year's. Those are two of my best friends. I mean, for those of you who are my friends, you know who you are. I feel like that term is kind of used loosely nowadays. People don't know the difference between an acquaintance and a friend. I have plenty of acquaintances. I love everybody. I'm nice to everybody. I smile to everybody. But a friend is something different. That's someone you can rely on in times of need, and they can rely on you. No matter what. There's no tit for tat. There's nothing like that. And a lot of people have a hard time understanding that nowadays. And I'm just thankful for the friends I do got. I love you guys all, and Happy New Year. But on to what topic I wanted to discuss today. Last week, the Department of Energy reported on some crazy news coming from the lab in California, saying that they finally reached. What the fuck? I'm watching the Bills and Cincinnati Bengals game on, the NFL game right now on mute, and someone on the Bills defense, or someone on the Bills, just got hit. It didn't look like a big deal. Stood back up and collapsed on the field. EMS truck just went onto the field and administered CPR. Holy shit. I'm praying for the man and wish nothing for the best. This is so sad, and I've never seen anything like this with the NFL, and I just had to say something. Holy shit. Wow. But I guess back on the Net Fusion. Wow, I completely lost my train of thought. You're gonna have to give me a second here. Wow, so the game was temporarily suspended. He is alive and is being escorted to the hospital. I really don't know what to say. You could probably expect some changes in the NFL moving forward. Wow, it's really hard to get back to the topic of discussion, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, I'm just gonna try to restart at this point. He's in our thoughts and prayers, and let's hope for the best here, guys. Last week, the Department of Energy reported on some crazy news coming from a lab in California. After decades of research and ultimately nothing but disappointing results, they finally reached net fusion. Net fusion meaning they made more energy than what was used in an experiment. A simple way of thinking about it would be, off the top of my head, you could think of if after putting gas in your car, gas was just created from that. as that action. Just putting gas in your car not only gave you gas, but created more gas in the process. This is the biggest advancement in clean, reusable energy ever. This news came out about 2 weeks ago, and it kind of got blown over. A lot of people were really going crazy about it in the scientific community, but, celebrities and whatnot get more attention than this important news that could potentially help save our planet. So, fusion is how the sun produces its energy. It's a process of joining two atoms together to form a single, heavier one, which basically releases a shit ton of energy along the way. We've known about nuclear fusion for decades, but we have never been able to get more energy than what we put into it. Just think about creating energy out of thin air. We've been dying for this information for decades. Ever. Everybody has their issues with the oil and greenhouse gases. This could be the fixture to this. I want to come right out and say a lot of people hear nuclear and immediately think of a negative thing. It's got this horrible negative connotation around it because of what happened in Japan. But people don't realize this nuclear energy is the future. It's the cleanest and best source of renewable energy we have right now. It has a lot of bad media around it. And don't get me wrong, solar panels are great. The wind farms are great. The issues are, of course, the source minerals and the solar panels. I'm sure people have heard the recent Joe Rogan interview about cobalt and the slavery that's involved with that going on. And that's in every single battery that's created with lithium ion. It's insane. Wind farms, there's issues with that as well. A lot of environmentalists are pissed off because it's killing the birds, and it takes a lot of maintenance. It's really just it's not reliable to the point where it can be brought to a large-scale operation to power the United States. These are considered additional forms of energy, oil and whatnot being the main source. Hopefully until this point we have finally reached to where we might be able to switch that around and not have to use that anymore. I know most people here probably aren't too interested in the science behind it. Maybe I'm thinking about starting like a little website for this podcast with a blog that maybe goes into more of the weeds that not everyone would be interested, but maybe some more of the nerdy audience would be. So it's a thought. Maybe I'll do that. So we have essentially created a new way of energy production that is not only carbon emission free, but also comes with no nuclear waste as a byproduct, like the nuclear energy facilities of today. That's the only issue with nuclear energy facilities, all the nuclear waste. Besides that, there's no carbon emissions. It's the best for the environment, but what the hell are we supposed to do with all this nuclear waste? It seems like we find a solution, but it creates another problem. But now, with this, all you need is seawater to make this energy. And many people have come out and said with electrical power consumption expecting to triple in the next 30 years, it's just not sustainable. With the amount of people we have and everything, we have to find another source for our energy. Everyone says one day we're going to run out of oil. And then what? Now we finally have the solution to that. If you really think about it, all problems come down to energy. So many social, resource, or political issues will be solved with cheap, non-polluting energy. Everybody knows about wars over oil and all the shitty things that come along with that. Some believe the future wars will be fought over water. With net fusion, there were plenty of ways to get clean drinking water. The issue was always the energy needed to do the process on a large scale. It outweighed the benefits and the cost of doing it. Transportation, especially commercial grade, would be helped significantly. For example, you can think when buying a plane ticket, most of that money goes back to fueling the plane. With this technology, it would cost them one-fifth in energy cost, and that's not even accounting for the weight differential from getting rid of the oil, making the plane much more efficient, able to carry more cargo, and just a whole lot better. For years, we've been coming up with solutions for climate change, one of them being a device that sucks carbon out of the air. Again, The issue was that it consumes vast amounts of energy, basically negating the whole purpose of it. It would create so much carbon emissions in the process, it's almost pointless. So, with this, it changes the whole landscape of all things of what we thought possible. Now, we can't get too excited yet, all because we have achieved this great science feat. We still have to bring the infrastructure to life, so then we can bring it on a commercial basis across the US and possibly the world. Luckily, private companies are now joining in the fusion game to speed up the process with it, because nowadays it's looking like you can make a little bit more money off of it. Beforehand, even the government thought fusion as a black hole for their money. The amount of heat breaks down material from lasers. I don't know if I brought up, there's 192 lasers shooting at this little particle to do this process. It's pretty crazy. I don't want to get into the weeds because no one's really interested in that. They're really interested in what comes from the whole process, what we achieved from this scientific feat. With the scientific breakthroughs in material and 3D printing, and advanced simulation systems, costs are becoming more realistic, and there's hope that companies will make a profit off this. So, it's the art of capitalism in process. You gotta love it, man. Once people can make money, society is propelled forward. You gotta love it. Once money's involved, humans will figure out a way to make it happen 10 times quicker. So, hopefully within the next 10 to 20 years, we'll be able to get this infrastructure in place and hopefully fix all these issues that everyone's bitching about. I mean, if you really think about it, so many issues could be solved just from this one thing, getting clean energy. Nobody realizes how much this bogs everything down. If you have energy that doesn't cost as much, you can do anything. That includes space travel, everything. I mean, it's a whole new world. And hopefully people will get excited about it and move more into this field into the future. I know being in the electrical field, it's got me interested in electrical engineering. I think this is one of the biggest breakthroughs we've had in science in forever. So, hell yeah. Go USA figuring this shit out. And hopefully you enjoyed SILT podcast episode number 4. Shit I learned today, baby.